Hello everybody, this is a bit of a different video format for the week, but it is one plant that you have to know. This is Populus tremuloides of the family Salicaceae. This is quaking aspen, trembling aspen, or popple. Tremuloides meaning resembling Populus tremula, which is a European aspen, and Salicaceae being the willow family. So one thing to note, this species is not found in North Carolina, so that is why I'm not doing a video with an actual physical specimen. However, it is an important species as it is very widespread across North America. I believe it is a contender for one of the most widespread trees across North America in general. So you can see it goes all the way from the Northeast to the Midwest, all the way up through Canada and Alaska, and it does have some range down in the Rockies, all the way down even into Mexico. It's a very widespread plant. Starting with identification of the leaves are alternate and simple along the twig. You'll notice they have a kind of deltate shape, that triangular shape, but they're a little bit rounded on the corners. They do have a serrate or sometimes crenate margin, and it is a very broad leaf. It's paler below, and the name trembling aspen comes from the fact that the petiole is flattened and a little bit twisted, so the petiole attaches at a 90-degree angle to the leaf in the way that it's flattened laterally. You can see that in the photo there. And so when that long petiole allows it to twist and blow in the wind, creating the name trembling or quaking aspen based on the way the leaves form, or excuse me, based on the way that the leaves blow in the wind. But just remember, long flattened petiole, deltate leaf shape, and serrate or crenate margins. You can kind of see the buds in the photo on the right-hand side. You can see that they're very large and pointed, and they're imbricately scaled. The bark is a very distinct one. You may know this tree already. It has very thin, papery bark. It's very tight to the tree. And you'll notice that the inner bark is a very dark black or brown color. So you can see that where branches have pruned off or where there are wounds in the trees, whereas the tree just ages, it becomes a very dark brown or black color. All of these marks on the left-hand side, that's on younger stems, but on the right-hand side, you can see it starts to roughen up and crack kind of and gets darker as it gets older. And so you'll commonly see that at the base of older trees. You'll notice that kind of eyeball-looking shape on the very far left-hand side. That is where branches have pruned, and so that inner bark is being exposed and that wound is exposed. And so that forms that eyeball shape. And if you have a whole grove of those where the branches have self-pruned, it kind of looks like a watchful forest, if you will. So the fruit is a capsule. This is not a fruit that you have to be able to identify by, but here's a photo anyways. You'll see these in development here. These have not quite split open, but they do release these kind of feathery, puffy seeds. But just know that the fruit is a capsule, and this is how it is formed. One thing to know about this plant is its ability to regenerate from root sprouts. This photo is of Pando, and it's a stand of clonal stems that cover about 108 acres in Utah. Depending on who you ask, this is the single largest organism on planet Earth. I know that title is up for debate. I know that there are fungal mats in Oregon that kind of contend for that title, but it's not quite determined. So what it does is it spreads by roots and is able to send up new shoots. And so you have these large clones or colonies of plants that are actually the same plant that grow in these groves as you see here. So some things to know about this plant. It is heavily browsed by all species of deer, moose, cattle, and sheep, so very high forage quality. The phloem is eaten by beaver, so if you're asked about this on a quiz or exam, you say very high wildlife value. Wood is used for paper and matchsticks. And I think some key things to remember about this plant, remember that very bright white bark. So you see here in the photograph, you have that very bright white bark that has these black wounds on it where the inner bark has been exposed. So if it's a self-pruning tree limb, you'll notice it has that eyeball shape, which may help you out. As it gets older, remember, it will be rougher and darker around the base of the tree, but otherwise it'll have that bright white bark. It's very thin and tight to the tree. The leaf, remember that deltoid shape, that very large triangle with the very long flattened petiole, and the serrate margins are sometimes crenate margins. So this has been Populus tremuloides of the family Salicaceae, quaking aspen, trembling aspen, or popple.